Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this beautiful Saturday morning and sunrise. Yes, I'm here again. They thought last weekend was the only time they were going to see me. No, I'm here for a while with this troublesome guy called Ayo. Welcome, I'm Joke Rogers. Oh my God.
Are you done?
No, I'm not. Do not trouble me today. I just had a 3-day bout of malaria, with malaria. So I do not want trouble today.
Actually, you always have malaria.
I do not.
Everybody always has malaria. It's just that they don't
God.
manifest until... Actually, I was just listening to the music of your voice. I wanted you to continue for a bit, but since
My
it didn't continue...
croaky voice.
So who's complaining? Hey, anyway, let me not even say anything. Okay, now you've told me how your week was. But there's no sign.
Yeah, I know.
What happened to you?
I know. Yeah, can't.
Yeah. No, don't worry, this is on. You don't need to blow yourself.
Right.
Okay.
So there's a lot happened, even while, I was trying to...
A lot happened in the course of the week.
A lot has happened in the course of the week.
A lot has
Plenty
happened.
things.
This one, the one that began I think exactly a week or two ago, is the one in Oworoshoki, in Lagos.
Yes.
And it's a bit troubling, isn't it?
Yeah, well, for people to have to actually come out to block the road, alleging unauthorized, as I would put it, demolition of their property by who they allege is the Lagos state government. Of course, the government did say that it gave prior notices for the demolition of some of those properties, but the people say no, nobody told them anything, so they blocked the expressway in protests. And
What's interesting, I saw a video of the GM of Lapska, addressing the people in the community on his feet, not sitting down anywhere, on the street in the community, and telling them, look guys, we gave you notice for 2 years. I think he actually mentioned for 2 years. But none of you did anything except one house, and he pointed to the house. That's the only fellow that, made attempts to do any sort of regularization and all of that. I don't know if this case will ever go to court, Joke, but some of the issues raised by the community have still not been addressed. One of them is, are you people trying to build a banana island at Oworoshoki? Yeah. That's one of their allegations. That's one of their fears, because there are those who allege that there are communities in Lagos that government have, quote unquote, taken over the years, over decades, over years now, and they claim that they want to use it for a particular purpose, but then they sell it to certain people.
Like that area by the waters in Makoko.
Yes, area. That's one. Yes. Then Morocco hasn't quite simmered. The issue is still right there. People are still complaining. So that good intention, that openness of government, that honesty, that believability is still there, and government still owes that. But the people themselves have still not addressed the issue of whether or not they did what government asked them to do, and for how long ago.
Because sometimes you do have people, you just see that they just come up and claim land. That it happens in some instances. I'm not saying this is this instance, and they don't have papers to back it up when they ask them for those papers, and then they start crying foul. So really, we have to come and see where the middle ground is.
Well, what's unfortunate is people have lost their homes. Yes. People who had homes are now homeless. What's government doing about that? There was a time government wanted to evacuate some people from a particular area and took them to a place they called, was it New Lagos, in Surulere at the time, built houses and all for them. Is there any such plan for the people in this area now? Countless questions to ask. But then there's this interesting one that I found, okay?
Which one again?
This one is Delta State.
Right. Bizarre dress codes, right?
What do you make of that?
Yeah, but, when you try and keep the sanity of a workplace, be well-groomed. That's what the government is saying. Be well groomed. See, right? I've attempted, okay, what was it? Don't keep bushy beards and no fake nails. You know, sometimes there are people who can work well with those things. I find it that if I try and fix those nails, I cannot type well. So by the time you go into work and you want to type, you only put in like maybe 2 hours of work and you can't type again. So you have to. But you know, really, you should allow people dress how they want to dress. Just that they shouldn't be naked to work. That's all.
The government says that the people should uphold decency in the appearance of public servants across the state. They stress that in an effort to address the unpleasant practice of improper dressing that has become commonplace in the state public service. What I'm looking for is why. Why cannot I keep beard?
Beard.
Where is it illegal?
No, it's bushy beard, not just beard.
Beard is bushy. Please, don't. It depends on if you say, do they want to measure, okay, it cannot be just the 1 inch long or what? Is that bushy? Beard is naturally bushy. If you say groom, it can be as big as, what's that place? Sambisa Forest. So long as I can groom it, is it bushy? So, you know, well, I don't know. The people are going to have to come up. But then they also talked about artificial hair.
Well, that's the one. I mean, how far is too far, really?
I'm not really interested in... So no officer shall appear in the office or anywhere in his official capacity attired in a manner deemed inappropriate. Deemed? Who? Okay. All officers on grade level 13 and above should appear in complete suits, except for uniform officers as given. Does that also refer to the politicians in public office?
Yeah, because now everybody dresses it. Well, maybe on Friday.
Well, they said grade level 13, but those ones are not on grade levels. Okay. Then those ones on levels 7 to 12 should appear in a pair of trousers, shirt, and tie, except all administrative officers who should always be in suit. This is plenty work. Anyway, they are people of Delta State. I don't know how you people want to address that one, but the Lord help you and the Lord be with you. You wanted to talk about that jollof rice.
Oh, yes. How about it? The biggest...
I've not tasted it.
We were wondering, though, you know, a few hours ago, how, you know, was she able to measure Hilda Baci, we're talking about her world record attempt at the biggest pot of jollof rice. How is she able to measure her ingredients properly to ensure that, you know, it comes out as the jollof rice that we are always fighting other countries about? Okay,
2 things. In fact, I joined the live stream for a bit, and one person was saying, this jollof rice better reach Kano State too. From Lagos. It will reach you by Bluetooth. But here is a chef. Chef, not just a cook, a chef. So there is a measure for cooking half bag of rice.
Yes.
For all of those condiments. What I don't get is how you are able to put 250 bags of rice, measuring 4,000 kilograms of rice in one pot and cook. How much is a bag of rice now? Okay, that's your already answered that. How much did she build that big pot?
That's Ikoko.
How much fuel was you? Someone was asking, did she use firewood?
Exactly.
Because the firewood that will give you that...
it must be like there will be constant... let me say fueling on that pot.
So, and it's
constant heat under, yes.
First of all, that's a very courageous move.
Yes.
Very, very courageous, to the point that it got the attention of the federal government. The representative of the minister said, on behalf of President Tinubu. So, see, levels of representation.
Yes, sir.
So that's, it's a wow thing. And there are quite a number of people in Nigeria who can, don't tell me that Nigeria is this, Nigeria is that. If Nigeria is bad, create your own good.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you think Nigeria is bad, create your own good. You are there, right? You are good in Nigeria, right? So create good. The thing about, this is something I tell my kids. When there is darkness in a place, you don't do night vigil to cast the darkness out. What do? Flip the switch on.
On, yes. Be the light.
And the light will shine.
Yes, sir.
So if Nigeria is bad, I agree with you. However, so long as you are there, Nigeria can't be bad. So long as you are there, Nigeria can't be dark. That's what I think. I don't know. And talking about light, it's not only NUPENG and Dangote that are fighting.
It's who?
It's the people that are, those of us on the gallery.
Yes.
We are also
in the fight.
Taking sides. On whose side can one be?
I don't know.
On that matter.
Yes, that's just it. On whose side can one be? One will say this side is fighting for the people, but then the other side will go and do something to say, I'm also for you now.
I read the account of Dangote, and I also listened to some people who say, wait a minute, on whose side really is who? Some people say that the real grouse of NUPENG is that for every tanker load of fuel, they get a fraction of the money that goes to them. So the moment it is leaving that the bay or wherever, the loading bay, the NUPENG automatically qualifies for X percentage or X amount or whatever from that, tanker, one tanker. Now there's 4,000 tankers leaving one bay.
So imagine how much, that's that's supposed to come to them. So that's what they're fighting for.
That is what some people believe that they are fighting for.
Yes, they have to fight.
Now, what that also means, which is one of the responses of Dangote, is, look, for every time this fraction goes to any association or union or whatever, the consequent cost goes to the consumer. So if the fuel, for instance, is selling at, say, 20 naira, and 2 naira of it is supposed to go to a particular union, fuel automatically becomes 22 naira.
Yeah.
And the argument of Dangote is, we don't want fuel price to increase.
And so that consumers will not bear the cost. So that
consumers will not be at the cost. And of course, they are claiming that they want to help government. Blah, blah, blah. On the other hand, the argument of the NUPENG is,
yes.
You can't say that 60,000 people should not unionize.
Yeah, that's another thing. They're also, fighting for them to keep the unions. You can't say we can't come together and take these decisions or look at things that will affect us in.
I agree. However, my own, so if NUPENG is saying that, the question is, in fact, one of the things that I read from that Dangote account is, look, this fight is not with us.
Yeah. It's
among
you guys.
They themselves.
Yeah.
You're talking about this segment of NUPENG, Truck Drivers Association and all of that and all of that. Joket, for me, at the end of the day, the fear of strike is the beginning of wisdom. Nobody, in fact, you could hear Marquez trepidation in the course of the week. I cannot go and queue for fuel.
Yes,
and nobody wants to do that.
It's horrible because now that the schools are about to start by Monday, another Ogun State though. I don't know if Lagos students have resumed, but schools are the new term is starting. Children are going to school. You cannot afford to have the children caught in the mix of if there's another strike or you have to go and queue for fuel. Where are we going to walk?
But you said they have agreed another
there was a closed-door meeting during the week, I think, with the leadership of DSS and NUPENG and Dangote, where they had some sort of agreement.
Yeah, but I thought that it was after that this allegation also came again.
Well, this allegation and counter-allegation, so let's see what plays out. Well, I still know that yesterday Dangote brought out another price drop. I think 870 naira here. It's for Lagos, 871 for Edo, and
they brought a new.
Yes.
No, have they increased it from 840, 841?
It was 840, sorry, 840, 840, 841.
Yeah.
And, a couple of price, but it was a real price drop.
Yeah.
So that one, I think that one was yesterday that we saw that one. So
let NUPENG answer that question. Let NUPENG answer that question.
He knows when to bring out all these things.
Let NUPENG answer that question. Is it true that you people collect money from each tanker and consequently increase fuel price? And you are the same people that will go out and say government is increasing fuel price, and then you are protesting. I want to know, first of all. I want to know, are you collecting? Because if they are union members are supposed to pay dues.
Yes. From
their pay, not from tanker.
Yes, it's true.
So let us have conversation around that one, so that we can have some peace.
Oh my goodness.
You were talking about peace.
Yes, peace. Oh, we should have peace. Also, yesterday, we had this report from NSIB, the
Safety Investigation
Board.
And Bureau.
Indicting Air Peace pilots and co-pilots and some crew members. I think essentially the crew that flew the aircraft that had an incursion at the Port Harcourt airport on July 13, I think, that there was some kind of, bumpy landing and almost skidding off a runway. So, and they indicted them for consumption of alcohol and some substances,
Substances, e.g.
I don't know. Lots of substances.
Oh, wow.
So, of course, NSIB, I'm not sure has to answer to anyone before bringing out its report, but Air Peace denied having communication from NSIB before the report was released.
Okay.
Denied a lot of things, faulted the report, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, recommitted itself to safety of Nigerians, safety in the air, and all that. It has, it has also come out to react to that report. So, but we don't know. But I think, I don't know, there should be a step up in increase in testing of pilots and crew members before they board any aircraft. We've had too many incidences of plane crashes and plane incidents where people die or people get injured. And it's just not about Air Peace. It's actually about the entire aviation sector as it is.
It's a lot of things packed in there. One can only hope that indeed, well, we can say this, that what the government has demonstrated so far from my perspective and perhaps from the perspective of several Nigerians, is that there's some form of responsibility being taken.
Yeah.
So the NSIB, investigators, they tested the pilots and they said that, okay, you guys tested positive for, let me say it the way some of my people will say it, alcohol.
Alcohol.
Involving one of the airlines jets in Port Harcourt in July, had alcohol. Then let me mention the others. Some substances. So I go with that.
Some substances, not agbo substances.
So, but that's a really troubling thing.
Yeah.
So maybe that also calls for responsibility on the part of everyone, particularly the airlines themselves, because at the end of the day, it's people we're talking about here.
Yeah.
The first question in my head is, did they take it before or after?
Yeah.
Or while they were mid-air?
Okay. So
yes,
we have quite a lot packed today. We've been packing several things, unpacking several things.
Yes. This menu we want to talk about is not the one, it's not Hilda Jollof. Just say. So we start with?
Well, what he said just now, the NUPENG and Dangote dispute, and how everyone can find a common ground.
Now there's this new tax act and tax ID. Are you aware that you are compelled to have a tax? Find out later in the conversation.
Right, and we're also going to be talking about combating viral threats through public health response and, of course, a lot of research.
And now we're not talking about ChatGPT research here, just so you know. Lifestyle today, we want to talk about that thing on your screen, emotional intelligence. How do you live with emotional intelligence and not just spark at every reaction?
Yeah, right. And of course, we're going to have the Artist of the Week, which you will all find out much later. Flesh and Blood will not reveal to you just
Flesh
yet.
and Blood will reveal it to you.
When
we get to that. So, in the meantime, do yourself a favor. Grab your cup of cocoa.
And whatever you got.
I have mine. If you
And
prefer cocoa,
I have cocoa.
You have cocoa, I have cocoa. Unlike, some people. I'll be right back in a moment.
And there we're starting off right with one of those very touchy subjects that we chatted about just before we went on that break, and that's the NUPENG-Dangote dispute and how common ground can be found. A dispute between the Nigeria Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers and the Dangote Group escalated, nearly leading into a nationwide strike. The core of the conflict centers on the right of the Dangote truck drivers to join a union or to unionize under the NUPENG. However, barely 48 hours after NUPENG suspended its strike action, the union alleged that the management of Dangote Refinery had reneged on the resolutions reached. That's an allegation. We'll find out if that is true in a bit. But we're going to discuss this, and joining us from our Abuja studios this morning is the National President, Nigerian Association of Road Transport Workers, Yusuf Othman. Thank you for joining us this morning. And Billy Gillis-Harry, President of the Petroleum Products Retail Outlets Owners Association of Nigeria, also from our Abuja studios. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us on the program today. Right, so if we can first start with you, Mr. Othman, how do you think the disagreement between NUPENG and Dangote will affect the chain supply of petroleum products in Nigeria, particularly for retailers, and transporters like yourself?
Thank you so much. I do not think, just like the people who keep complaining, I do not expect that it will drastically affect the supply chain. Why? Because there is enough fuel in the country at the moment, and also because this NUPENG-Dangote issue is not just a NUPENG issue. It affects the whole gamut of the downstream. All people in the downstream sector have one or two issues related to this. So, and all the stakeholders, to the best of my knowledge, have one or two or three or even 4 or 5 issues to sort out for us to have sanity and clarity in the system. It is much more than the Dangote NUPENG issue. Fine, Dangote NUPENG issue is a union issue, which to the best of our knowledge and everyone that saw, you will see that truth was reached and signed, but somehow, somewhere, one of the parties to the truth reneged. So that was why there was some relapse. But notwithstanding, the issue at stake is a very serious issue. And this issue needs to be seriously addressed by government, by the Dangote himself. And it's not the issue of Greek gift. We believe that the Dangote is a businessman, and we believe every businessman does his business with a view to get certain returns at the end of the day. So I do not envisage in this case, therefore, that there will be free distribution of petroleum product across the country, especially PMS. And with that, it means, therefore, all other players within the industry are cleared or eliminated. And if such happens, it means that there is a very serious issue in the industry. Don't forget, in this industry, as we speak today, we have about 30,000 trucks distributing fuel across the country. By that too, of course, means that we have about 30,000 drivers, and some even spare drivers, some motor boys, and also mean that we have service providers, vulcanizers, food sellers, and the ownership of these vehicles is spread across the whole country. There is no local government in this country where there is no transporter. And these transporters, most of them have been financed by banks across all the country. You know, and also they have, most of them have either formal or informal contracts with marketers.
Alhaji Uthman, just 1 second.
Now,
just 1 second, Alhaji Uthman. Just 1 second, because some of the issues that you are raising, you know, as important as they are, I think it'll be, you know, good to at least start with, you know, the first issue that my colleague, you know, has raised. But if I can take that same question, perhaps rephrased to you, Mr. Gillis Harry, let's first of all find out, is your association, Petron, is Petron affiliated with NUPENG?
Petron is an organization of employers also. We have owners of retail outlets that make up the membership of Petron. Mm. But
no, just to is Petron,
you know, very
is Petron affiliated with NUPENG? In other words, if NUPENG calls for a strike, will Petron members also join?
That's what I'm saying there. So if our staff, you know, have decided to join a strike action by their parent body, we cannot penalize them, you know, without facing some kind of reprimand. So Petron's support for NUPENG was clearly to ensure that the system is properly situated, and every player, from Dangote refinery to all the other refineries, to the transport owners, the drivers, the retail outlet staff, you know, we're all intertwined together. So injury to one is injury to all.
Okay. Should there be, let's look at the issues. I know that, you know, you as an individual and your association has had issues with Dangote's, the Dangote refinery's approach, you know, over some time. You've raised some issues from time to time. But question that I'd like to ask is, in this particular NUPENG-Dangote issue, what for you are the points to note that need to be given attention on both sides?
Well, on both sides, clearly, every one of us, I believe, including NUPENG, is very desirous that Dangote refinery is very successful, and you know, its advent will stabilize energy security, in addition to other sources of energy that we're going to be getting. So my advice would be Dangote should work very, very closely with all the stakeholders because there's nobody that is not happy to see the Dangote refinery established in Nigeria. And I believe that every one of us is very desirous that the refinery should be successful. Because that's the only way we, as Nigerians, will have consistent availability of petroleum products, in addition to whatever other sources that is coming. But we want to be able to also protect that industry, I mean, that refinery. So if the refinery owner or managers are not able to see that the best approach is for a synergy between all the stakeholders, that may not be doing the Dangote, refinery any good. So my thinking is that NUPENG...
before I go back to Mr. Othman,
for instance...
Just one second, my apologies, Mr. Gilishari. So before I go back to Alhaji Othman, the proposition of Dangote is one, to keep the numbers between 841 in Lagos and Southwest to 851 in Abuja, Kwara, Edo, Rivers, and on like that. That's on the one hand, that direct supply, no intermediary. There is also the segment of people that are saying that one of the reasons that NUPENG is crying foul is because direct supply to your members, retail outlet owners, means that NUPENG will not get the fraction they normally get off of every tanker, that leaves any depot in the country. Can you clarify that for us?
First, let me make this very clear to us. NUPENG, I don't think, is focused on income. NUPENG has been very, very useful in ensuring that the airtel industry is, sanely organized. We are talking about thousands and thousands of drivers and motorboys and tankers. That is, each of them, there's no tanker today now that will be costing less than 150, 190 million naira. Now, what NUPENG has done has clearly assisted the system to make sure that these tankers are safe. The workers are properly organized to behave with discipline. That, you cannot quantify that in terms of any monetary gain. So what NUPENG has done, and of course, even in this issue, you can see the level of maturity that they have shown, where issues have not, flared up to where Nigerians will suffer, and which is what we in Petrol advocate for. We have called the government to come in, and government came in, and we are very appreciative of the President Bola Ahmed-led government, the Secretary of Government of Federation, the Minister of Petroleum,
Mr. Gilishari, the question, I understand the point that you're trying to make. I apologize again for butting in. I understand the point that you're trying to make, but just speak to that issue. Is it true or not? I mean, you are right to say that maybe NUPENG is not focusing on the monetary gain, but that's not to say that there is no monetary gain to NUPENG in the argument, is there?
Well, monetary, for every service, there's a reward. But I believe that in this case, the reward is not the focus. It's the efficiency that's more the focus, from what I understand.
Okay.
And all that I believe that can be done is that Dangote Refinery will benefit quite more with an organized system that has been there, way back from the 50s.
Okay. So Alhaji Othman, we'll come to more of that. My apologies. We'll come to more of that. Alhaji Othman, there are those who say that any resource that goes to NUPENG off of every tank, of every fragment of fuel that people receive in their vehicles, it automatically goes back to the consumer. That if, for instance, from the depot, the fuel costs 20 naira all-inclusive, and say, for instance, just for instance, that Dangote, NUPENG is going to get 2 naira off of that liter of fuel, what it means that fuel, your members will sell the fuel to the consumer at 22 naira per liter. Is that correct?
Well, my members are transporters, and as far as I know, the NUPENG is involved in the day-to-day affairs of loading, transit, as well as discharge into tanks. Don't forget also, you will only know this if you are a player in the industry. When you go to load, the area boys you meet, the security on the road, and the challenges on the road, all these are taken care of by the NUPENG. Yes, of course, you will find that there is driver training by PTD NUPENG. There is driver health insurance, driver accident-free bonus in conjunction with NATO. So it's not just people will think about NUPENG in terms of money. It's far away from that. There is a lot more, but it's only when you are in the system, you know. As much as possible, yes, if you want to get service, you, of course, get certain amount for that. Some few years ago, even in Lagos, you find that some area boys, when you load a vehicle, they'll just climb on your truck. You either pay 1, 2, 3, or 5,000. Otherwise, they will just cut the connection, and the vehicle will have no brake. And they are the same people on the road. You will find that they stop drivers driving in the night. Why? Because there are a lot of illegal activities happening in driving in the night, a lot of hijacks and whatever. And across the country now, if there is any incident everywhere in this country, the first person, I mean, any incident that affects truck, the first person that appears there is the PTD person, before NATO appears and other people appear. So it's much more than somebody would imagine, but it's only when you are in the system that you'll be able to appreciate the impacts they do in the industry.
Right, Alaji.
But like I said the other time, yeah. You see, this issue is not just a NUPENG PTD issue. It's quite more than what people from outside envisage. You said 841, 850. In the first place, this PIA Act, this regulation has certain rules and regulations within which all the players must respect. In a situation where 1 or 2 bigger players will do what they like, irrespective of what is in the act, then there is impunity. Right. And if there is impunity, then it's unfortunate because it will have no boundaries. The truth of the matter is that the NMDPRA, which is the regulator in the downstream sector, states very clearly, PIA Act 212, that you cannot have you cannot use the same license for refining and use also the same for distribution of petroleum products across the country. It has to be at arm's length, and arm's length means arm's length. If in a situation where you refine, you say, okay, you want to distribute to all those areas that you've mentioned, it means that you have jettisoned all the agreements that other players in industry have with their employers. And it means, therefore, that you sweep everybody. And when you sweep everybody, it means they have monopoly and anti-competition, which is also against
Alaji, if I can,
Act.
Apologies, if I can come in here. So you've listed a whole lot of things. But what are the real sticking points? There was a meeting. It's alleged that Dangote reneged on all the agreements. What was the agreement? Even at that meeting. So why did everything fall apart yet again?
Yes, because I wouldn't know, because I'm not party to the...
You would have heard about what happened.
Agreement, because... Come again?
I said you would have heard about what happened.
Well, I could only guess, but I know, I saw the template of the agreement, MOU, but somehow, somewhere, there were some, I don't know, renege into the agreement. But that is, I believe, would have been sorted by yesterday, to the best of my knowledge, except if something comes up again. But what I'm trying to say, I want you to understand that this issue, there are 2 issues. One, the issue of NUPENG as regards the unionization. Then the other issue is the issue of the CNG trucks and also the issue of other, I say that's why I say the gamut of the downstream. There are a lot of people who are not happy and is pregnant now that the depot owners are not happy. Some of the marketers are not happy. Some of the filling station owners are not happy. So all these issues need to be addressed. And this is because if Alaji is going to sell the product at international price to everybody without discriminating, and even the discrimination of rates is clearly stated in the PIA Act that you cannot discriminate. So if everything is going to be sold at international rate without any discrimination, everybody will be happy. At the same time also, if the provisions of the PIA Act are clearly adhered to, there would not be any need like, say, we are sending 4,000 trucks, because come to think of it, is 4,000 trucks going to be in place? We currently have 30,000 trucks going in the country. Clearly, those 4,000 trucks will not be adequate to meet the demands. Meanwhile, the other people who are currently using, who will not have economy of scale and cannot do free, it means they will stop operation. And if they stop operation, those 4,000 trucks will not be adequate to clearly meet the demand of the nation. So what do we do?
Just a second, Alaji.
And you are going to do it.
Alaji,
we're going to have anarchy.
Yeah, just a second, Alaji, if you can hear me. My apologies. If you can hear me, in what way is NUPENG or Dangote refinery right now contravening the Petroleum Industry Act?
It has its own cost. Now, if there is a great gift that I'm going to do it free, it means there is something at the back. And it is also very dangerous.
Have you raised, has this issue been raised? My apologies. Has this issue been raised with Dangote refineries? This Greek gift allegation that you're, talking about?
Well, the issue is that the NMDPRA has clearly written that he needs a license, separate license, to be able to distribute across the country. And this issue is also currently being discussed with the NMDPRA and other relevant, including the security agencies, because this is an issue of national security. We're talking of surrendering the energy security of a country to an individual. We're talking about so many owners of investment across the country.
All right. Let me ask Mr. Gillis-Harry one question that you both have been trying to avoid. That allegation that NUPENG gets a fraction of every liter of petrol in Nigeria and that the cost comes to the consumer, the example that I gave earlier, if ex-depot, it's 20 naira, the allegation that if that Dangote could, for instance, say, NUPENG could say, for instance, that this fraction is coming to us from that liter or from that tanker or whatever. Is it true?
I really don't seem to understand why you think we are dodging to answer that. We have answered it very clearly, and I will just repeat it. That is not the focus, and I don't think that that is accurate. Well, you already told us it's an assumption, so we'll leave it at that. But the fact is, efficient service is being rendered by NUPENG and PTD. Just as Petrol is also rendering efficient service to ensure that retail outlet owners follow the law and ensure that we sell proper spec, approved spec of petroleum products, and there are no hoarding. And at all times, our stations must be open during business hours to make sure that commuters have access to fuel. So all of us, just like NATO, doing their own thing to ensure that the industry is stable and Nigerians are the better for it. So the idea of a reward for what services that NUPENG is doing, if we have to compute it in terms of the safety, the type of organization and the discipline that is given out to those who are in charge of moving the tanker, the trailer, truckloads of PMS or diesel or anything from one location to the other is quite enormous. I'm sure you've heard where trucks have been hijacked.
But this is the opinion of Dangote refineries, from what we understand, is to eliminate all that logistic challenge and cost. That's our understanding. So help me understand if it is different.
So let me ask a very pertinent question. Why is this free trucks not applied into cement? Why is it that it's in a PMS and diesel that will be the focus? So you see, us Nigerians must have to be. We will have stated clearly earlier that we all want Dangote refinery to be successful, but the success must also trickle down to all the players in the.
Okay, just a quick one, so that we can.
That is just what it is.
Okay, so that we can cap it pointedly, because I haven't really heard the question pointedly. Does NUPENG get a fraction of money from every liter of fuel that Nigerians buy?
Ask them. You wouldn't know.
You are asking a question to me. You should have invited NUPENG to ask them that.
No, I'm asking because...
all I know is that...
Go ahead.
Yeah, for all I know is that any efficient service that's rendered is worthy of reward. So, but that there is a specific amount that is going to be added to it, and that is what this is all about. That is not correct.
Well,
I personally have been in the business for a long time, and I do know that this has been standard practice. We have efficient, distribution of petroleum product that is being done by these associations.
Okay.
And all of their drivers.
We have some messages.
We do have Nigerians have been commenting about it, and they have, their own questions and queries about this situation as well. The first is from Tunde from Surulere. He believes that if Dangote did not build a refinery, won't NUPENG members survive? NUPENG leaders are not happy that things are getting better and their corruption, corruption is going exposed. That's the opinion of a Nigerian, not of ours. But there are other people that also have comments as well.
Yeah. Isa Ahmed Zagreb says, I'm against any organization downplaying labor rights. But let's also note that these unions collect billions of naira in dues, but they can't show a single investment in a hospital for their members, a school, or even a communication framework for oppressed members. Well, Mr. Gillis-Harry, you have said that we should ask NUPENG, so we'll ask NUPENG. Next message.
And then there's also Festus Akiboyewa from Festac, I think. He said NUPENG's recent actions suggest that they are working against the country's progress and the growth of the private enterprise. Their attempt to force Dangote refinery employees into union membership, despite the company's independent operations, feels like an effort to benefit from a system they had no hand in building. It's deeply troubling that the same union complicit in the collapse of Nigeria's 4 public refineries now appears intent on obstructing the success of the Dangote refinery, one of the few promising developments in our energy sector. This behavior isn't about protecting workers, it's about power and profit. If we continue to empower such tactics, we risk sabotaging the very progress we claim we seek. Nigeria must choose protect innovation and private investment or remain hostage to interests that have repeatedly failed the nation.
There's actually another message along that line. It's from Gani Ali Shobande. Please, my honest and sincere question is, where was NUPENG when NNPC lied that the refineries were working and loading was going on? Well, this is his opinion. Whether or not NNPC lied, let NNPC also come out and explain to them. But is there a reaction from you, Alhaji Othman, about any of these messages that you have listened to from Nigerians watching and listening to you right now?
Yeah, thank you so much. My reaction is that people don't, most commentators or who you call them, they do not actually understand the real deal here. This is just beyond what they are saying. See, this is a capture of the whole industry. It's a capture of the whole industry. What I'm trying to say is, for example, if you look at cross river states, they have a lot of depots. River states, they have a lot of depots. Edo State, they have a lot of depots. Delta, they have a lot of depots. So the plan is to collapse every person. Every person, they have finances. Some people are talking about, if you combine the total investment of the people in the downstream, it's much more than the single investment. So now everybody is going to collapse because of this thing. What we are saying, Alhaji should, apart from the union issue, should leave and let other people leave. There is nothing like inefficiency in the system. No, it's as it goes. Let me give you are based in Lagos. When they brought BRT buses in Lagos, did they clear the dumpo? When they brought those tipper for refuse collection, did they clear the others? There is livelihood. People live on these things. People live on these things. And if there is phasing out, it's gradual phase out. Not just come and say, okay, everybody should go because the big brother is around.
I'm a little bit befuddled, like Alaji. I'm a little surprised, because maybe I don't understand. In what way would you say anyone is making any attempt to ostracize any sector of the energy industry? Because I don't know if you have read the report or the statement of the NNP, beg your pardon, of the Dangote refineries and petrochemicals. Their opinion is they are co-partners with others. They cited Bua, also coming, Bua refineries also coming on, Aradel, Watersmith, as other refineries also coming up. So how can one person, which you rightly said, cannot fully supply the entire nation with 4,000 trucks, how can they take the place of 30,000 trucks? I'm just trying to understand.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm glad you spoke about the Bua, Walter Smith, and other. What they are doing with the free distribution is take strategic position and kill every other person that is currently in the system and every other person that will come in the future. Because as we speak, if you say you are going to do this business activity free of charge, then there is a mission. It's a great gift. And also because you are trying to take strategic position against those that will come in the future. Because by the time they come in the future, nobody will be able, you have already taken your strategic position, nobody will come and get into the market. And this is what is happening. This is exactly what is happening. It's monopolistic and anti-competition. Whether you accept or whether you look at it, is subject to interpretation, but this is our own opinion.
Right, right. So you just talked about it being anti-competition. Mr. Gillis Harris, do you think that Dangote's entry into the downstream sector will actually increase competition on the long run and benefit consumers? Or do you think it will lead to monopolization, as he has just said? This is early days. The refinery just, started working not too long ago. And I think, things are just settling down. So did you actually share this school of thought?
We appreciate the coming of Dangote refinery, and we pray that God Almighty will help him to continue to have more refineries. But at the same time, the scheme, the mode of operandi is what is
sorry, Alaji, that question is for Mr. Gillis Harry.
Okay. Well, we are all affected in this one way or the other. So whatever questions that you ask, I believe if you ask some other stakeholders, the answers will not be too different from what you are getting from us. Well, let me state that Dangote's refinery is a very welcome idea. And personally, and as an association, we appreciate that. And I believe all stakeholders appreciate that. I thought that what Dangote Refinery should do is to get the stakeholders to work to deepen and ensure that the products coming from Dangote Refinery is taken to the deepest and the farthest part of Nigeria through this established stakeholder system that has been very efficient. So competition will be something that the industry needs, because it's competition that will keep driving efficient service, affordable pricing, and obedience to the law of what the PIA has already prescribed. So we welcome Dangote's investment, we welcome his participation, but the method of entering into the market as of this time, I will consider it not stakeholder friendly, because Dangote has a refinery that depot owners could easily take 20, 30,000 metric tons from him and take to their depots. And then marketers will be able to assess that, and we retail outlet owners can also now assess the product and be able to provide service in the grassroots service, because we are the last mile in the industry. So we welcome that, and we also welcome other sources of supply. That is the point. But if Dangote's refinery has capacity to give us what we need in Nigeria, and we have a very friendly business environment, everybody wants to take from him. Whether it's Meman, whether it's Dapman, whether it's Petrol, whether it's NATO. And don't forget that all of these the service providers have been doing so very efficiently. So we can only improve more. So there's no need to be bullish about it. There will be just a simple stakeholder convergence. And then we look at what is best on how to serve Nigerians. So, but this method now is bringing quite a little bit of a bad blood, because we are saying this, you are telling us what you think because you believe that you are going to buy product at 841 naira per liter. 841 naira per liter, how many days are you going to do that? How many months? How many years? In your very before, you've seen prices go up and prices come down just like a yo-yo at the same time. So those prices, were they even at any time being determined by the market forces? So we have to understand that we in the industry already understand that this tactics is aimed to, dismember us. And at the end of the day, we'll all go back looking to buy net and go back to fish or do one farming thing or the other. And then what is going to happen with Nigerians who need this retinue of retail outlets that's going to be serving them?
Right. So what do you make of...
We want to encourage Dangote to be successful, but let him encourage us also to work together. So that's all.
What do you make of the mediation process, the government's intervention? Do you think it was necessary, or do you think it's going to have some long-term effects on the industry?
Sorry, which mediation? The mediation of the government?
Yeah,
yes.
the intervention, rather, of the government, the meeting that was held.
It's a very good one, because if government did not intervene in the way they've done, and that's why we give credit to all of the people who made that work. Every one of them, from the president down to the least officer that made it work, we congratulate Nigerians and also thank them for it, and keep telling them to do what is right, to mediate between us and always make sure there's peace. So without that intervention, nobody knows what would have happened today. We appreciate it, and we think that all of us should just follow the terms of that agreement and bring the industry to normalcy. And the other additional thing is simple. These 4,000 or 10,000 trucks, we want to see it as addition of infrastructure into the system to be able to give better service. It shouldn't come to be the reason why certain levels of competition can come in and create problems. I want to draw your attention to the era when NNPC used to have product in their station, and the price of PMS there was quite low than other stations. So what happens? You will see queues going around, meandering around streets all over the place. And then we retail outlet owners will continue to have issues without being able to sell our own products. That has happened in our very eyes. So we should be able to learn from past experiences and ensure that today is better and tomorrow is even better.
Well, Mr. Gillis-Harry, just a second, we're wrapping up. But this question is for Alhaji Othman. And it's coming from Uchechukwu Aguele. He writes and asks us to ask you this question. And I think this question might even affect you and your business, because there was an era in this country where fuel supply was done through pipes. There were no road trucks moving fuel from one place to the other. So Uchechukwu Aguele is asking, if there were pipelines, will NUPENG still have a place?
They will still have a place because pipelines don't go direct to filling stations. They can go to certain areas, just like it happens in some countries. Well, in some countries, developed countries, they can go even direct to filling stations. Previous times in this country, pipelines go to depot, then from depot to the filling station. And that is a more efficient system. We appreciate that. And that will even, safeguard the road infrastructure that we have. Let me also inform you that whoever is asking, not you, Ayo, that the complaint that we have and the depot owners have is that, according to the current plan, fuel will come directly with trucks from Lagos to every nook and cranny in the country, as against the depots in Calabar that are closer, can supply some areas within Uyo and whatever, even to the Taraba state, as against depot in Port Harcourt that can supply, as against depots in Delta. Every fuel that is coming from truck will come from Lagos. Imagine the degradation, the road degradation and whatever. And all those depot owners, they also have their own trucks to service them. They have hired people to service them all across the country. So meaning that, according to the current scheme or plan, is that everybody will collapse.
Right.
So it's only the allergic trucks, and I mean, how does it look?
Be that as it may. Apologies, Alhaji. Be that as it may. People are still asking more questions, and this is from Abolaji Bayo. And of course, you've said that you're not NUPENG, but I'm sure they can hear us. And I'm sure this will still be discussed in those circles. He says, has Dangote ever stopped NUPENG from partnering with other filling stations? There's several questions here. Does Dangote stop NUPENG from petrol lifting in its refinery? Why does NUPENG always resist improvement in its operations? And they've resisted, with several governments when it comes to all these issues of distribution of petroleum products.
Well, I don't want to believe that that they have been stopped or they stopped. There is a cordial relationship hitherto between the Dangote Group and all other unions, not only NUPENG. We have very cordial relationship with Dangote Group as far as NATO is concerned, and Petrol and so many others. And of course, irrespective of the current quagmire, we look forward to a better relationship, and we'll also talk to Alhaji to see reason why others should survive while he's surviving. That is just all this is for other people to survive while he's surviving, not that everybody should collapse while he survives.
I really wish we could, and I'm sure that here at Channels Television, we're going to have to ask some of these questions directly from NUPENG themselves, because the kind of comments we are getting from people, those questions are targeted at them. And the reason we're asking you these questions is because of your affiliation. So let me ask you, Mr. Gillis-Harry, there was a story that made the rounds, and it's also part of the statement from NUPENG over the weekend, well, I think it was yesterday, saying that it was the same NUPENG, your affiliates, that resisted previous governments from selling the refinery. In fact, they said that this their organization, Dangote Refineries and Petrochemicals, was part of that company at the time that wanted to off-take the privatization of the 4 refineries that was resisted at the time. And now that there is a private refinery, they're still having issues. Add to that the fact that Alhaji Dangote Refinery himself said something in the region of $18 billion has been spent on trying to turn around the 4 refineries without any significant turnaround to show for it. I really wish you could at least say, I mean, you're an industry operator, you should have an idea of some of these things.
Well, we do have the idea, and we know what has happened. The very straightforward, progressive thing that I would say is that if we have gotten it wrong yesterday, does that mean that we should get it wrong today? Mm-hmm. And does that mean that we cannot get it right into the future? We can get it right. So for me, it's a very simple decision. Alhaji Dangote, with all the stakeholders, should be able to work together on the round table. We can be able to look at, everybody has said this is right, this is not right. There's no need for any flexing of any kind of muscle. We are ready to work with them. Petrol is ready to work with him. NATO is ready to work. Every one of us, to my knowledge, because we have communications. So all that is missing is that we need us to sit down on a round table and look at how the progress of this country can be made, and how, because we don't even want anything to happen to Dangote's refinery. We want it to be successful. We want it to grow, just like we're asking for NNPC to also ensure that the refinery grows either by privatization or by whatever means, but it must belong to Nigerians. So that is that's where we are. So let us take the message home that we all want to make sure that Dangote Refinery is successful. But that success should carry everybody along. That's all.
Okay. So in your opinion, Mr. Gilles Harry, what is missing so far? As you have both of you have given us the privilege to understand, there is no resistance from anyone, not even from Dangote Refinery, that any member of NUPENG should not lift fuel. So if they are trying to ensure, for instance, that if there is a perception that there is resistance to their operations, I think it's only business sense. You're a businessman. To find a way to ensure that your business doesn't go under, if anything, $20 billion is no joke. So you want not only to ensure that the business survives, but as you said, that everyone should, work well in it, but not at the risk of shortchanging the people that we are supposed to service. I think that is one of the concerns. This is just me hypothesizing, the Dangote Refinery. So what, in your opinion, is the way forward? What are the considerations to have?
The way forward is not difficult. It's very, very simple. Dangote Refinery is here, makes all feel very proud. It makes us to have 3/4 chips on our shoulders. Dangote Refinery, all the stakeholders, even at this instance, possibly with the regulators, and we say, look, this is the way it's going to be. We have made a law. If the law is not as efficient as we expect it to be, we make corrections. If there are things that need to be done to ensure that Dangote Refinery is very successful, it just needs to do. We are all willing. The depot marketers are willing to buy product from him, but sell by vessel so that they can easily transport from Lagos to Port Harcourt, Calabar, Warri, and so on and so forth.
Right.
Those are the solutions. Then the trucks that he has brought in, they are good infrastructural inclusion into the transportation network.
Right.
Let the NATO system that's working with them work with them so that these trucks can now serve even more efficiently. That's just the only missing thing.
Right.
And once that is done, we can all go to sleep and serve Nigerians better.
Right. It's very interesting.
Also, for your information, there is no time Nigerians will not be the better for it when the entire system is efficient. Because nobody is going to be selling products at their will, but they will always sell according to what the market forces will determine.
Right. Thank you for your time. I must thank you for this conversation. The two gentlemen that joined us from our Abuja studios, Alhaji Yusuf Othman, National President, Nigerian Association of Road Transport Owners, and Billy Gillis Harry, President of the Petroleum Products Retail Outlets Owners Association of Nigeria. Thank you, gentlemen, for sharing your thoughts with us this morning.
Thank you so much.
So when we return,
Yes,
there is a matter that is starting in January. And it may.
Oh, it definitely will.
Will. Find out what we are talking about when we return.
In a moment.
Okay, we talked about something that is likely to affect you. The tax identification number.
Yeah.
No. Yes.
Yes. Number.
Tax ID. Well, now some of you will think that's TIN. Tax identification number. There are two different individuals. There's TIN, there's tax ID.
Yes.
Both of them are tax numbers. But one is for corporate organizations and one is for individuals. So the tax ID mandate for opening bank accounts is set to take effect from January 1, 2026. That's how many months away? What, less than 4 months away?
Yeah, less than 4.
And it's said to be a significant reform aimed at expanding Nigeria's tax net and improving revenue collection. This requirement, part of the Nigerian Tax Administration Act, signed into law by President Bola Tinubu, will make it compulsory for individuals and businesses to obtain a tax ID to access banking and financial services.
And I think this covers both Nigerians and non-Nigerians.
Nigerians and non-Nigerians. But then there is also the opinion that this particular tax ID initiative is not new. Question: how come it's sounding new?
Where has it been?
Exactly. Now, I now did some search. I found out that we have been paying taxes since before independence. No, since before colonization. And then there is something they call Ishakole. Do you know what Ishakole is? Oh, gosh. Okay, don't worry. Well, we'll get into all of that in the conversation with two gentlemen joining us this morning. Dr. Chris David is here with us. He's a chartered accountant and tax expert, as well as an author and authority in the area of tax. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, and good morning, Nigerians.
Yeah, and a member of the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee will also join us in our Abuja studio shortly. But let's begin from here. Dr. David, you say, like other people, I know that's one of the opinions you hold, that this whole tax ID number initiative is not new. Where has it been? I'm taking Shola Joker's question. Where has it been?
Okay, yeah, just like you rightly said, the tax ID, TIN number, or PR ID, they are not new. They have been in existence. And the truth is that currently, if you want to open a bank account, they will ask for your tax ID.
Now?
Yeah, including your BVN or...
Since when?
And yeah, it's ongoing.
When I opened my bank account, how many decades ago did they ask me?
That's decades ago.
Oh.
Yeah, but currently, if you want to open a bank account or you want to have an investment, maybe within an insurance company or an asset management company, one of the information they will ask you to provide is your tax ID. Now, I think the misconception is about the news headlines that you see on newspapers and probably some of the people that are creating content online. I saw in one newspaper, I say, no tax ID, no bank account. You understand? So, and when they put such kind of headlines, you know, how many people really do read the details of the law? So you expect this kind of reaction. But
well, before I go to our Abuja studio, you know, who do we blame for the fact that we didn't know about this law, or rather, it's not as pronounced as it is supposed to be. We understand that this whole tax ID thing has been an initiative of government since like 2012.
Yes.
So how come we don't know about it?
Well, in two ways. If you don't know about it, it suggests that you are not actually paying your taxes. That is one way to look at it. Then secondly, what it means is that the agencies involved, that is the tax authorities, need to do more tax education and enlightenment.
Okay. Dr. Chukwuemeka Eze joins us from our Abuja studio. He is a member of the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now, there are those who have thought, yes, I know that Dr. Edele has also put out a statement trying to explain that this whole initiative is not new. Why is it now so prominent, particularly in this whole tax reforms process, at a time when Nigerians are already crying, hey, 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 over all of the taxes and levies that they have to pay?
Thank you, Ayo. I want to first correct, I was a member of the Presidential Committee up till last year. So as we speak today, I'm no longer a member of the committee. So, but let's get to the outcry over the tax ID. Like the speaker in Lagos said, that it is not new since the Finance Act 2019, which took effect 13 February 2020, Section 49 of PITA was amended to accommodate the mandatory application of the tax ID, although then it was called TIN, Taxpayers Identification Number. It had always been in operation, but there is something new. What is new is that it is more detailed, the provisions are more detailed. Currently, Sections 4 to 9, that is Part 2 of the Nigeria Tax Administration Act 2025, provides extensively for the registration both by locals and non-residents, individuals and corporate entities, the use of it, the mandatory, voluntary and involuntary registration, then the coverage, and when there are changes in particulars of taxpayers. These detailed provisions had they were not in the previous law. So that's what is new. But besides, Section 100 of the Nigeria Tax Administration Act provides for administrative penalty, whereof if a person who is supposed to obtain it fails to do so, or mandatorily registered by the relevant tax authority, that the first month, the person will pay 50,000 naira, and each of the subsequent months, the person will pay 25,000 naira. For instance, if somebody fails to register before January, the person will pay 50,000 naira for non-registration in January. Assuming the person did not register in February, 25,000, March, 25,000. If the person eventually registers in April, the person will be paying administrative penalty of 100,000 naira. So this was not the provision in the previous act. So we can take it off from here if you want to hear more.
Right, thank you. But I'd like to ask our guests in Lagos this part of the question. Is, one would think, we've said it's not new. We have less than 6 months to the implementation. Just like the national identification number, one would think that there will now be hurried actions by Nigerians to register. So what's the difference now? What makes the difference? We know that one is a tax number, that the TIN is number, and then the ID is identification. What difference does it make? Why do we suddenly need this ID? Why can't we just go with what we're doing before?
Okay, there is no difference. So, like my colleague in Abuja detailed the provisions in the tax law quite extensively. Why you have that provision is to provide for an avenue to harmonize, to have the Joint Revenue Board to harmonize all the various tax IDs. For instance, in Lagos State, we call it taxpayer ID. That's for individuals. And so several states have different IDs. So with this new law, we'll expect that the Joint Revenue Board should be able to harmonize so that all of these numbers can you can have uniform numbers. So I think the job really rests on the tax authority rather than the individuals. Just like he was saying that there are penalties for non-registration. That is when, if you are a taxable person and you are supposed to register, you didn't register. But from what I've been getting, when we say tax ID, it encompasses so many things like your NIN number can actually be your tax ID. So if, for instance, the Joint Tax Board adopts the NIN, that, okay, this is the number we're going to be using as tax ID going forward. So you don't need to go and be registering for another tax ID. Okay. So that means so many people already have the tax ID.
So there is no certainty that that's the policy right now.
Yes, but I think that should be what the Joint Revenue
Before you even go to this issue of collecting taxes, Dr. Eze, why must Nigerians be additionally labored? Already we have been told that in this whole tax thing, from next year, from January 1, 2026, we will start paying 5% surcharge on fuel. Now we're hearing that we're going to be paying taxes, individual taxes. In fact, from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, micro, nano businesses will also have tax IDs and they will pay taxes. It is only natural to expect that that tax is going to come as additional cost of the products and services that people are going to be getting from them. So why must Nigerians be additionally burdened?
All right, thank you so much. Taxation is not additional burden per se. There is no country in the world where taxes are not paid. It is the way it is administered that will determine whether it is a burden or not, and the rates applied. Now, one of the fundamentals of a social contract between the citizenry and those in government is taxation. If you look at the ingredients of sovereignty, you need to have a defined geographical setup. You need to maintain law and order, and there has to be taxation among others. So I wonder any country of the world that, whether direct or indirect or both, taxation that doesn't apply it. So Nigerians have been paying taxes. I listened to your introduction. Definitely taxation is not new. So from what the Tax Reform Act, one of the things it has achieved is to expand the tax base. When you heard the government saying, okay, our tax to the GDP ratio being around 10.8%, we intend making it at least 18%. It's either you introduce new taxes and overburden those already paying, or to maintain what is already being paid, but to expand the net so as to plug leakages. So I think the government has, by introducing the tax ID, just trying to block leakages and expand the tax net. So those who have not been paying, for instance, if you're a company now, from 1st January, and you engage in transaction with a taxable person, and that person doesn't have a tax ID, the penalty is 5 million naira. This wasn't so before. It is these changes that makes it like what we say new. So it is expected that, as you know, Section 24 subsection F of the Constitution mandates, places a duty on the citizenry to pay their income taxes promptly. So it's already a duty. It is now for the citizens to leverage on the importance of representation. It is high time they should begin to ask the politicians, what are your tax policies? Let me know whether to vote for you. The era of voting for people without asking about fiscal questions, asking fiscal questions, it should be gone, because every person will feel the heat.
Then, first of all, the people have to, first of all, understand the importance of fiscal policies or whatever on their lives. But let me ask a question for you, Dr. David. Samuel Olonikadi is asking, will students be required to have tax ID when they do not earn any income?
Okay, I'll answer that question, but the question you asked him, I need to make some clarifications, because those are the misconceptions we are having. You said 1st January there's going to be 5% surcharge. That is not entirely correct. So it's not going to start 1st January, but it's in the law that at a particular time when the Minister of Finance deem it fit, then he will issue an order.
Will we ever get a notice that that is going to happen?
Yes, that's going to happen.
Because according to the law that the president has signed,
yes,
once it has been signed to take up at a particular time, we have heard
there's
the
a
federal
provision.
government has said
yes,
it will not take up immediately. But it is a law.
Yes, well, if you read that law, that's why you have experts. If you read that law, there's a provision, there's a section that said that the Minister of Finance will issue an order at a particular time. But in my own opinion, I don't think that surcharge should be applicable in Nigeria. Nigeria is an oil-producing nation. Whether in 1st January or in future, that law, that tax should not come into effect.
So you are asking for an amendment?
Yes.
Okay.
So now let me answer the question. So the question talks about students.
Yes.
Now, the tax law did not talk about status of people. Rather, it talks about a taxable person. So who is a taxable person? A taxable person is someone that engages in any economic activities and earns income. So if you earn an income, for
instance, if you are a content creator, and you are earning income from your content.
Yes. So you are a taxable person. So that's what the law says.
Okay.
So it's not about student and all that. Okay. So a taxable person, you engage in economic activities and you earn income, then you become.
What is, if it's very informal, like you have some students who do all sorts of things to survive, apart from content creation. For instance, when I went to school, on our corridors, there used to be a lot of people that make people's hair, that do different things, just to add to whatever their parents or whatever you are giving them. They are earning money, but I mean those ones will not be taxed.
Okay, so it's difficult when you have to explain tax on TV like this. So there are provisions in the tax law. It's not that for every kobo you make, you start paying. So now, you must have also heard that if you earn 800,000 naira, you will not pay tax. Those kind of provisions. So that is talking about your taxable income. So you have what is called your gross. Then deduct some allowances and all that. One of them is the rent relief. So if your taxable income, that is gross minus all those deductions, is 800,000, then you will not still pay tax. But if it is above that, then that is when you begin to pay.
So there is income, and then there is taxable income.
Yes.
Okay. Samuel, I hope you got that. Well, this one for you. This one is for you, Dr. Eze. It says it's from Adewale Fakoya, who is asking, please help ask the guests if retirees will be affected by this new problem. That's the way he put it. Despite the fact that they faint or die on the queue while waiting for their meager pensions, will they be subjected to registration for tax ID, which they have for their payroll while in active service?
The position of the law is that every taxable person will have a tax ID.
Are retirees taxable?
Yes, they are taxable persons if they earn income. The issue is not whether one is a retiree, the issue is whether one earns income. So if a retiree does not earn income, it will show in the retiree's bank account.
For instance, okay, go ahead.
Yes, pension is tax exempt. Like my colleague in Lagos said, there are items that are tax exempt, like pension, like National Housing Fund contribution, life assurance, annuity, then rent up to 500,000 naira. If these eligible deductions are made, so it is not whether one is retiree or whether one is unemployed. I give you an example. Somebody might say, I'm unemployed, but he has a brother in UK that every month he sends 5 million naira to his account. So how will he convince anybody that is unemployed? He doesn't keep records. He will only say so verbally. So that's why one has to be careful. That's why there are compliance mechanisms. So if you don't want to fall into the circle of those whose income will be classified as taxable income, you have a lot of records to keep. So beyond having tax ID, because when you have tax ID, it only means that software technology can be used to identify your account.
Right, sorry.
Those at the General Revenue Board can use their technology, key in your tax ID, and they can view your account and know what happens. So yes. It's not necessarily what you say.
Yes, Mr. Eze, I think you've covered quite a lot, but as part of the concern of the person asking that question is, for the retirees, is that do they have to now go and start queuing just to get registered again in order to have a tax ID? They're already going through a lot.
No, they don't need to queue. The retirees have national identification number that constitutes, even before retirement, they had tax ID. If they didn't have, they have national identification number. You will stay in your room if you don't have and get it online. So it doesn't require going anywhere to queue to get tax ID. So that's the answer.
Okay. Dr. David, I know you stated this earlier, but Festus Akimboyewa is asking, would an NIN serve as our new tax ID? You've answered that already.
He said he's not, he was just giving the suggestion.
But,
sure.
and even Dr. Eze has said the same thing, so maybe that's also in consideration. But then he's asking, how would the new tax law and tax ID affect Nigerians abroad and their investments in Nigeria, like investments in treasury bills and stocks? Would it not discourage diaspora remittances?
No, that's not true. In fact, those in outside the country, you cannot do anything without a tax ID. For instance, in the UK, you have this, what is called the National Insurance number, NI number. You can't carry out any transactions without that number. So abroad, the use of tax ID is well established. Now, we must also know that since the signing of the law, signing the bills into law in June, we have a 6-month gap for implementation. And I know they are currently working on the implementation, and before December, there will be guidelines on what should be the tax ID. And I'm thinking that the NIL will be one of the numbers, or should be the number that we should adopt as a tax ID.
Kolade Fash is asking you a question, and you, Dr. Eze, please ask, and this is on YouTube, what are we benefiting from government as citizens? We pay children's school fees, provide water by ourselves, no good medical facilities, no security, and we must pay tax for them to share.
So that question should be directed at the politician or his representative, starting from the councillor in his ward.
But you are a tax expert, Dr. David. One of the arguments that I would expect.
So if I'm going to answer him, I'm going to provide a theoretical answer to say, okay, these are the uses for your taxes. For instance, provision of amenities, lights, good roads, security, and all that. Those are what taxes are meant to provide. But the other side is the money being generated from taxes, are they judiciously used? That question I cannot answer.
So let me ask Dr. Eze. Dr. Eze, this is one of the challenges of taxation until now. I remember, I think it was in the Fashola days, you would see while roads are being mended or constructed, you see that sign on the road, taxpayers,
money at work.
Money at work. Always there. Now, it would seem like we don't even know what the taxes are for right now. And this is not a state law. This is a federal law. This is a law that is going to affect every part of Nigeria. And it would seem like beside the function of the committee that you served on and the people that are working in that committee as at now, is a challenge of communicating to people that now, with this new tax regime, you can trust us.
Thank you. The question is a legitimate one, but it's a political question. Certainly such question is not usually answered by tax administrators, because these are people sent on errand. And who sent them on errand? The politicians that the people have voted for. Out of the 4 purposes of taxation, which are revenue, representation, reprising, and redistribution, the burden of revenue, reprising, and redistribution is directly on the government. But the burden of representation lies with the people. So if the people who choose who to represent them without asking them these legitimate questions, when it's time for campaigns, the people ask questions around other things like which district will the person come from, which ethnicity, which tribe, which religion. Nobody goes to market with any of these things. They do not ask questions about what rate of taxes will you collect, will you introduce more taxes. So, like my colleague said, the politicians at all levels, from the local government to the state government, people in the state legislature, they should sign petitions and send to them and tell them to explain these things. People in the National Assembly, governors, and the president, these are the people that can answer these questions. Experts can only give expert opinion. They cannot answer political questions correctly.
Okay. Well, it will not stop Nigerians from asking that question, but there's another one. This one is from Clifford Ofegbo, who says, if a retired person can pay tax with the money his children are giving him, because you said that the other time, that someone is sitting down and they just send 5 million naira to him every month, and you are saying that that is taxable because it's not income. What about those that don't have anyone to give him at that old age? Will government start enrollment for aged people with no income and help?
Certainly the account statement will explain.
Okay.
That's
the short answer.
Of the tax ID.
Well, someone is saying...
The account statement will explain.
Okay, there's someone is saying that this one is especially for you, and it's coming back from Mr. Fakoya. He says, the Abuja gets this to clarify if subvention to aged parents will be taxed when the mega pensions are not paid as and when due. Would this not be double wahala for dead body? That's the way he put this question.
I acknowledge the concerns, but you see, emotion and some sentimental issues. As a lawyer, as a tax lawyer, I prefer approaching matters from point of law and leave the sentiments that go with it for an emotion for others. So definitely, although taxation ought to have a human face, and I think that's the more reason why not every income is taxed. It is not every income is taxed, but compliance is key. The era of, remember that Section 29 of the Nigeria Tax Act provides for presumptive tax regulations. And the minister is to make that presumptive tax regulations. All those that don't keep records that are in the informal sector, a provision has been made for them that the minister will make regulations where they can pay pittance, not necessarily these rates that are contained in the fourth schedule to the Nigeria Tax Act. So from the person's question, by the time I say this, the person will get the answer from it. So for those who make little money, it is now to put pressure on the Minister of Finance to make the presumptive tax regulations so that the burden of making, keeping records by those in the informal sector will not cause them any problem. Recall that in the Personal Income Tax Act of 2011, we also had presumptive tax regulations in Section 36 or Section 6 of that Act. And up till now, the minister did not make those regulations. Right. So it is not for the informal sector to ensure, and the media to ensure that it will not be so this time around.
All right.
The minister should quickly make those regulations so that those in the informal sector will breathe.
Right. Time's almost up. Let me just ask you this, one of our final questions here. How will the taxpayer ID, which is the tax identification number given by subnationals, now case in point now is the Lagos state government and perhaps other state governments, as the tax ID align with the one that's going to be given when registration takes place?
In other words, can states give tax IDs?
And then you have national level.
So when I started earlier, I talked about the Joint Revenue Board. Okay. Now, the Joint Revenue Board is the body where both the tax authority at the federal and the states, that is where they meet. Okay. And that's why I said during this implementation period, I expect them to issue a guideline to say, okay, this is what we are adopting as the tax ID. So different states will not be issuing different tax ID. So it's going to be one tax ID as determined by that body. So if they say, okay, probably maybe what Lagos State is using is acceptable, then every other person should adopt that.
Okay.
But like I said, I think the NIN is the universal or more common number that they should adopt.
Okay. Well, you both have said that you're not answering political questions, but I'm going to ask it anyway. And it is from Steve Black. Says, why are people always quick to compare UK and America when the government wants to take from the masses without telling them? Without telling themselves that those places don't have corruption like ours. Well, I don't agree with that one. How much do our politicians earn? They don't compare to what the politicians earn abroad. Again, it's a political question. You don't want to answer it.
You don't want to answer.
Okay.
So can't go.
Thank you so much for your time this morning. Dr. Chris David is a chartered accountant, futurist, tax expert, and author. We appreciate your time this morning, as well as Chukwemeka Eze, former member, Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee. We appreciate your time and thoughts as well.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Well, one thing that we said earlier is that we're going to be talking about threats. What are these threats, Joker?
A lot. Viral threats.
Okay.
They call it. The International Research Center of Excellence at the Institute of Human Virology in Nigeria has just concluded a 2-day symposium themed Combating Viral Threats Through Public Health Response and Research. And this is aimed at advancing innovative research for improved health outcomes.
Okay. So our guest this morning are Professor Lashley Abimku, who is Executive Director, International Research Center of Excellence and Institute of Human Virology in Nigeria, along with Dr. Aderonke Agbaje, Director of Program Special Projects, Institute of Human Virology, Nigeria. Both of them, as you can see, are in our Abuja studio. Good morning, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, and thanks for having us.
All right, let me begin with you, Prof. Tell us a bit about your institute, particularly the research center. What are some of your significant research activities, particularly in addressing Nigeria's healthcare challenges?
Yeah. Thanks for that question. The Institute of Human Virology in Nigeria's main mandate is to provide high-quality service that is equitable and accessible by all communities in Nigeria. While doing that, its focus is also on building capacity for other younger Nigerians, and also having informed services that is improved as a result of research that is happening within the Institute. So the International Research Center of Excellence really has the focus of ensuring that whatever services we're providing to improve the lives of Nigerians is informed by research and activities that we do, so that it's optimized and we know what goes into it to be able to scale up. Apart from services, the research we do also is in anticipation of what is circling around the nation that is a threat to the Nigerian people. What activities are Nigerians doing themselves to put themselves at risk? So all of that are important information that we conduct at the International Research Center of Excellence at IHVN to make sure that we provide services that addresses the health challenges within the country, but that is also equitable, of high standard, and that builds capacity as well.
Okay. A quick one to you, Dr. Agbaje. You have organized this annual symposium since, 2023? So why is this particular one that important, particularly in addressing public health concerns?
So thank you very much. This particular symposium focuses on, or focused basically on, current viral threats of public health importance in Nigeria. and how we build surveillance around it, how we bring evidence to combat those viral threats, how we build evidence as to the best approach to provide treatment and prevention for Nigerians. So basically, it brought together researchers, early career scientists. It brought both international and local public health experts, as well as policymakers, to look at the current viral threats that we're facing in the country.
Now, if we talk about addressing viral threats, which we usually say that it's everyone's business, what should researchers, public health experts, policymakers, and people of various communities consider for an effective response to viral threats, such as the ones that are more endemic here, which I'm sure that that's what is the focus, like Lassa fever, dengue fever, and Mpox? That's to you, Dr. Agbaje.
Okay, thank you very much. It's really important for, so I'll start with researchers, as you said, as they look at the evidence, to involve the end users of the knowledge that will come out of the research early on, the communities, the patients, and very importantly, the policymakers, right from the design of the research, as we do at the International Research Center of Excellence. I'm sure Prof will talk about that a bit more. So right from the design up till the time of the knowledge dissemination, the evidence dissemination, all critical stakeholders have to be involved. Now, for the communities, it's important to make sure that we engage them, give them the right information that they need. So as the policymakers roll out the policies, the aspect of communication, appropriate communication in languages that are well understood by those that are impacted is very, very important and needs to be factored in. Also, and as the evidence comes out as well, it needs to be translated in the simplest form. And then for us, the citizens and the communities, we should make sure that we transmit information that is coming from credible sources, like the Federal Ministry of Health, the NCDC, the World Health Organization, and we are not propagating rumors about these illnesses. Also, we should have a part in surveillance. So the communities are very critical in surveillance because that is where the symptoms start, right? So early reportage of symptoms. Once you have symptoms that are similar to what the Ministry of Health has said about these viral illnesses, make sure you go to the nearest health center and report. We should avoid self-medication. And also, we have the policymakers and the government providing infrastructure to attend to the symptoms for diagnosis, early diagnosis, and also for the communities when the treatment options are given, the vaccines are provided. Let us make it a point of personal and community responsibility to access these vaccines, yellow fever vaccines, the COVID vaccines, etc. I'll hand over to Prof to talk about the research bit of it, which is really critical.
No, absolutely. Thanks, Dr. Baci. So for instance, in your question, you gave examples of things like Lassa fever and Mpox. So Lassa, we've had outbreaks of Lassa in the country for the last 11 years. And we know that during the dry season, it kind of escalates. So why do we continue to have this problem? We know that, it is endemic. It is a risk to our population. So That's why in the work that we do, some of our policymakers says, well, you've been conducting this research. We don't know anything about it. You don't expect your policymakers to go and read publications that you've published. There are certain lines of communication for different groups. So one of the reasons we've had symposiums, scientific symposiums like the one that we've had, and we have everybody, the community and the policies makers available, is to share our findings from what we're seeing. For instance, what is it that puts people at risk to Lassa fever over and over again? You know, what is it that the habits of the rat that transmits the disease that continues to happen? The virus itself, has it mutated? Is it more pathogenic? Should we really look at whether the vaccines that are being put together is appropriate for the viruses that are circulating? What about the humans in terms of bringing in social sciences? What are we doing as humans that is putting us at risk? What do we do with our foods? Do we expose it to the urine of the rats that's continuing? How can we educate? Are we using the appropriate language, like Dr. Baci said, when we go to the rural areas and try and talk about some of the risks that we as humans do and put us at risk? We do a lot of deforestation. That affects us. We go to an environment that is new to us and new to our immune system. What are we exposing ourselves to? So, for instance, some of the activities that we do in research is what we call surveillance. We look at different aspects within our environment, whether we look at new vectors or we look at wastewater system, for instance. What pathogens are we seeing that is probably re-emerging or new to within the environment? So that in that case, we're able to share our findings with the Nigerian Centers for Disease Control, for instance, and say, look, from the surveillance that we're doing on wastewater, we're seeing an increase in dengue virus, for instance. Maybe we would have detected SARS-CoV-2 before it hits everybody during the COVID. And then, now that we have the experience from having gone through a pandemic, like COVID, how have human beings responded to some of the interventions, so to some of the lockdown, to wearing masks, to doing social distances, to taking the vaccine that is freely available? So all of that information is absolutely critical in terms of what we call pandemic preparedness, outbreak preparedness, preparing ourselves for viral threats that continue to happen and are bound to happen. So we share some of those information based on high quality data that will help us as a nation to prepare better, to reduce our risk that would, from all the activities that we do that exposes us, to make sure that we are using the appropriate language. So having the right policies, sharing our findings, not just in manuscripts that we publish, but in meetings like we did with the scientific symposium and discussing with the community and policymakers, is absolutely critical in ensuring that our population is protected for endemics like Lassa, but more importantly, prepared also for possible outbreaks that would happen.
And I was going to interject you earlier. The challenge has never been the outcomes. The challenge has also always been transmitting research, data, information into the lives of the Nigerian. Now, how do we close the gap, Prof, between research, its findings, and communication of those findings to the public to the point of ownership, on the one hand? On the other hand, research produces results that if we use them, we'll be less dependent on imported products and more dependent on homegrown stuff. Third, research will probably help us to close the gap between the fact that we know what is the cause of dengue fever or Lassa fever, for instance, and how to make sure it is not an annual sacrifice or offering or activity that we have to suffer. How do we close those gaps, Prof, between research and execution? You have 1 minute, ma'am.
Okay, you brought very important factor. Everything that you have pointed out is important. So from the very beginning, we must involve our communities in the research that we do. Don't assume that they don't understand research. Co-create your research questions with the community. We're concerned about this problem, and what are you observing? So they're going to share some of that with you. And then the second thing also that you pointed out is, like we already mentioned, through scientific symposiums and all of that, share our findings. But outside of that, really make sure we continue engaging our policymakers so that all of those activities that should happen on a continuous basis, not just after the scientific meeting and it's done and then it's forgotten, on a continuous basis. And that's why the community must own it, because government can't be there all the time doing what we need to do to put ourselves at less risk. So the community must own it, and the community owns it when you co-create with them. And then you discuss your findings, and then discuss what your interventions has done and how we can move forward. So I think the point you bring up in terms of owning the issue and owning the interventions and owning the successes is something we all as the community must do, and really on a consistent level, not just a one-time
we can only hope, Prof, that at the end of the day we not only close the gaps, but we close it sustainably, and we are able to spread it to every sector of our lives. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Professor Alashley Abimiku is Executive Director, International Research Center of Excellence, Institute of Human Virology in Nigeria, along with Dr. Aderonke Agbaje, Director of Program Special Projects of the Institute of Human Virology, Nigeria. Thank you for joining us, both of you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you for having us.
Now, we spend a few seconds to bring our guest in for this next conversation. It's about emotional intelligence. How do you live with it? We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everyone. And now we're on our lifestyle segment of the program, Living with Emotional Intelligence, as we told you before we went on that short break. What does that mean? Living with emotional intelligence is a lifestyle that involves a lot of things, including understanding and managing your emotions while emphasizing with others and empathizing with others. It's about being aware of your emotional state and using that awareness to guide your thoughts and your actions. Actions, very important word there. By developing emotional intelligence, you can improve your relationships, decision-making skills, and overall well-being. And you can actually control your destiny, if you ask me. And joining us on the program to talk about why this is important is our guest this morning, Kuro Ngobo. He's a training and business development consultant. I was quizzing him about that name. It's a very big name, please. Thank you. Thank you for joining us on the program today.
Thank you very much.
Right. So it's this emotional intelligence has, made or marred a lot of people. When to keep quiet, when you should read the room, when you, maybe there are conversations going on, when to speak, when not to speak. Even the Bible tells us, don't be quick to anger. Hold your tongue. That's emotional intelligence. There, you need to know when to do these things. So how can one develop self-awareness, concerning this issue of emotional intelligence? How do you just know when or not when to do things?
Okay, so first of all, emotional intelligence is not just about you. It's you and other people. So it's managing your own, influencing other people's. How do you develop self-awareness is a very important question, because there are 5 components of emotional intelligence. If you don't have them, you can't claim to be emotional intelligence. Self-awareness is one, knowing yourself, knowing your strengths, your weaknesses, your limits, what triggers you. Sometimes you take offense when there's no offense. Those are things that are about you as a person. So there's self-awareness, there's self-regulation, there's that's like self-control, there's self-motivation, then there's empathy, being able to read other people, and social skills. Number 1 is self-awareness. How do you develop it? Is you start by being more mindful. That's the way to put it. So begin to pay attention to yourself. Pay attention to what triggers even physical responses in you. Some people don't know their allergies, for instance. Some people don't know what triggers a cough in them. They don't know the kind of environment that triggers their anger quickly, the kind of things that they don't feel comfortable around. So just be mindful, generally.
It's a very concerning subject we're talking about here.
It is.
Because the reason we felt it needed to be discussed is that there's been a lot of suicide. Suicide is a reaction.
Yes.
Economic realities is a trigger in a way.
Sure.
Why does it trigger people? Is it a subject of self-awareness? Why does the fact that there is a price increase trigger someone? Why does the fact that NUPENG and Dangote is fighting, for instance, why do such things trigger people?
So I think it still starts with self-awareness. It's knowing you. I also talk about finances a lot. And one of the lessons I learned that makes emotional intelligence very relevant to finances is what you tell yourself. Things like how much does how people see you or what they think about you matter to you? It's a big deal in Nigeria.
So all those likes and whatever.
Very important in today's world. I stopped buying Ashwebi 15, 16 years ago. Not because I don't like the people whose parties I'm going to, but why? I'm really not your Ebi, if we think about it. And I will come from your part for your party. I could even give you money to say thank, but why do I have to buy Ashwebi? I know there's some kind of spirit around it, by the way. Just an example. When you buy this Ashwebi, this uniform we all wear, don't you notice that to wear it somewhere else becomes a little difficult? Have you noticed that? So I now have a stack of them that I've sold.
You have to buy it first now.
Then afterwards, you can't wear it again.
I don't even remember.
And people would even borrow and do all sorts of things to do that. So there's pressure. That's just one example. There's pressure that we put on ourselves because we don't know ourselves enough or we don't have our own values clearly. That then makes how people see us become important. Then at some point, they say this watch is not befitting of you. This car is not the kind of car you should drive. Then you take a loan to buy the right car. Then you can't manage the car. Then you starts with the mind, then it goes on. So let me lead you to suicide very quickly. Depression is not a feeling, it's a mood. You have to feel bad about something, feel disappointed, feel cheated, feel betrayed, and hold on to that negative feeling long enough for it to become depression, right? Now, when it gets to the point of depression, it then leads people, because we need to be clear about something. The way you think and the way you feel determines what you do. So people...
Say that again.
The way you think and the way you feel determines what you do. In fact, your attitude is the way you think and feel about people or things. So your attitude, that thinking and feeling, determines what you do. Case in point, 3 people are sacked from the same place of work. Mr. A gets a new job. Mr. B starts a business. Mr. C commits suicide. What's the difference in the 3 of them? They all got sacked.
Disposition.
Thank you. So that's why I like this Charles Swinton quote, life is 10% what happens to you, 90% how you respond to it.
Now, take the, you talked about self-awareness.
Yes.
That's a long journey. Here is why.
True.
Trauma is a function of emotional intelligence or a lack of it. Help us understand that better. Help us understand, because sometimes you talked about the fact that people don't even know themselves. So sometimes you don't even know that you are traumatized.
I agree.
Like many parents who are traumatizing their own children
every day.
I don't think it's like that.
You are not the guest, too.
Okay,
sure that's
so I think I took a hard stance with regards to trauma and how people deal with it before I faced trauma. Guess what my trauma was? I usually pick people up when I'm driving around Lagos because I feel, oh, I can help, it's an empty car. Then they stole my laptop. I am traumatized. I confess.
I could hear my director say, ha.
Now I don't pick anybody up. So guess what? Trauma is something bad happens and your response to it. So I know that incident has left me traumatized. So if somebody I don't know is in my car, I feel like something's going to get missing. I had to first of all acknowledge that there was trauma. Something happened, the consequence was bad and hard-hitting.
To be clear, you are not in denial.
No. First of all, you have to accept the fact that this thing happened, there was a negative consequence, and it hit you hard. My work is largely on a laptop. You can imagine what I lost with that laptop. So after you understand that, you have to then, apart from being self-aware about it, you have to then ask real logical questions like, did you do something wrong for this to happen? Was it your fault? So should you blame yourself? Or should you tell yourself, this happened, maybe I made a mistake, even if you did. I could have put my stuff in the booth of the car, not in the back seat. So I acknowledge that. I agree that that is part of what led to it. If not, I wouldn't have my laptop stolen. So you first of all need to be aware that there's something that happened, the consequence is hard-hitting, and then there's some kind of trauma. This is a simple example. There are worse ones. Rape, somebody died, an accident occurred, but the same scenario plays out. Acknowledge it first, understand what it did to you, and then get to the point of saying, this experience happened in the past.
Let me give an example that I know Joke might want to punch me for, so let me just...
Move it. I'll move to. Okay. So I don't get any spills.
Someone falls in love with the wrong person, and the person decides all men or all women are scum, and consequently will never get married again or will never fall in love again. Is that also the kind of thing we're talking about?
This is a catch-22 question. Anywhere I go, I'm going to be in trouble. Please take notes. Okay, so what should happen, similar to what I said, is to come to the point where you can sit with yourself and say, I acknowledge that the consequence was hard-hitting. It has affected me in a particular way, and I don't want this to happen again. But then you must ask a few more logical questions. Did you do something in that space? Because, you know, we judge people by what they do, but we judge ourselves by our intentions. I intended to help you carry your crate of eggs, so you should be happy. But the eggs broke. To you, I broke your eggs. To me, I intended to help you carry your eggs. And this happens all the time. Could happen in relationships too. So if somebody went through that kind of trauma, what the person should do is to first of all acknowledge that this consequence was bad. I don't want to feel it again. But the person should go and rebuild self. The truth is you can't control other people and what they do. What you can is deal with you, handle you, and then over time you become a better person. So I don't think it should mean, if people did that with love, then it would mean something like, if I get fired on the job unceremoniously, I should never get a job. But you must eat. So do you want companionship in life later on?
Maybe those are things you do. Go for Hilda Baci jollof rice.
I hope you said that right away. And that could be something to do. But I think at some point, logic, the summary of all of this is acknowledge what happened, know yourself, and then please bring logic into it. What happens most times is we focus on the feeling that the experience triggered, and we keep romancing the feeling, and it keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Dealing with trauma is not an easy thing.
No, it's not.
Because
it's not.
You've had one trauma in an aspect of life. For whatever reason, you dealt with it in your own way, and then another one comes, and then you, quote-unquote, dealt with it. And this dealing with it we're talking about is, thank you, stuffing it.
Yes.
Stuffing the... Who do that carpet?
Yes, put it on the carpet.
Stuffing it until you can't take it anymore.
And to dump this in too, you know, some people don't even know that they're experiencing any trauma.
Which is why I said be aware of it and acknowledge it is the first part. You know, they say if you understand the problem, half of it is solved. So the first thing is to say, this is why this happened. I'm giving smaller examples. So one day I was traveling from Kano to Lagos. I'll be quick about this. I was 12. I had very little money on the train, so I asked somebody selling boiled eggs to sell me an egg, and she sold me 3 eggs. That was my last money. We left. I opened all the eggs. They were all spoiled.
I wanted to say...
I would not buy eggs on the road anymore. because I wouldn't know which boiled egg is spoiled, which one is not. For a long time, you may not call it trauma. For a 12-year-old, it was. So one day, my daughter likes quail eggs, and they sell them on the road. So I first don't buy it for her for a while. Then one day I say, well, it's not you eating the egg, buy it. If it's spoiled, it's a problem. Then she offers me the egg and I eat the egg and it's okay. So over time I ask myself, Kuro, will that one incident determine the rest of the 11, how many billion of us? How many are we now? All the people on earth will be defined by one problem.
More than 8 billion.
More than 8 billion. It can't be. That experience cannot determine what will happen to you every day. So I would eat an egg in a restaurant that they've peeled and put on the food, not one in a shell. Now, I could buy egg in traffic. I could. And tell myself, it could be good, it could be bad, but I will not judge everything by that. But please don't get me wrong. It doesn't make it easy. But it needs, I think the summary of it is this, it needs a lot of your self-determination to deal with it. And deal with it is not sweeping under the carpet. It's saying things like, could I change, or we look at the way this thing dealt with me in a different way. Like one person sold me bad eggs. Maybe she didn't even know the eggs were bad. How would she know? Having them for 3 days boiled doesn't mean that the eggs will be bad. Maybe she knew and she actually tried to hoodwink me. Would everybody selling eggs want to hoodwink me? Should I stop eating eggs because of that, or have to boil them myself?
Okay.
So there's some serious self-appraisal to be done.
We'll call this part 1, but there's this one last question.
Okay.
Some people are traumatized by an occurrence and have stigmatized certain individuals through which it happened to them. So they are not forgiven
of anyone else who fits that profile.
Of that person,
okay,
and anyone else that
looks
like it. It doesn't feel the way.
Just looks
minutely, faintly, the shadow.
True. Here's my tip for them. Ask yourself as a person and be real. Have you done something negative to someone before? Honestly, have you done something that the outcome, whether your intention was negative or not, was the outcome for someone else negative or not? Like I helped you carry your eggs and they broke. Do you think that that person should judge you and anybody that looks faintly, remotely like you based on that one incident? Just be honest with yourself.
Someone is answering you now. That's different.
Oh, the eggs. but honestly, that's the truth. We judge people by what they do. We judge ourselves by our intentions. It's a real thing. It's not going to be easy to merge both, to get to the point where I'm listening enough or asking questions enough to know your intention. If I did, maybe I'll understand a little bit. But let's just flip roles. You be the person who did something wrong. Would you expect, do you intend to keep doing that? Do you expect everybody to judge you based on that for the rest of your days? If you are honest about that answer, maybe you can come back and look at it. And there are many of us. In a family of 3 children, you can have 3 completely different human beings. Like all your fingers are different. Why do you expect, logically, that we'll all be the same? Same way we do stereotypes. All the Jaws are militants, all the Jebus are stingy, Ekiti people are stubborn. I think that's what I heard. All Fulanis are militants. So I ask one question. How many of the people in those groupings have you met in your entire life that gives you the right to say anybody that fits this profile must exhibit these characteristics?
They read them in newspaper.
Once in a while. And maybe 2% of the population. That's why in Rwanda they say now you cannot say I am Tutsi or Hutu anymore. You are simply Rwandi.
Okay, well, as I said, that's part 1. Because you are already leaning towards empathy, which is not appeared in our conversation today. But thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
What's the name again? You called the name. You've forgotten. Kuro.
Kuro. In Yoruba means the word
don't go there.
Don't
go there.
Which means you have to go. Your time is up.
It's a training and business development.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Your time today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Okay, let's check if we have emotional intelligence for our next guest this morning. I intend to confirm this. But let me start by letting you know that our artist of the week
is
a noisemaker. Oh, sorry,
drum roll.
Is an eloquent ethical and spontaneous comedian with vast experience.
Wow, wow.
Please welcome Segun Aremu, a.k.a. MC Stylo. Sheson Aremu, I saw it too. It's my glasses.
You wanted to do misdirection. It's allowed. It's allowed.
That's an accusation.
Yes.
No, my lawyer will talk to your
cause
lawyer.
him trauma now. At least we know what's going. We know what's triggering you.
Yes. You know?
Okay. Emotional intelligence to be subscribed to.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, sir.
You are a comedian.
Yes.
How do you people cope with this?
With what exactly?
No, you get into an environment.
Yes.
Okay.
And you want to, your job is to make people laugh. And all of them, their faces are strong.
Strong.
Emotional intelligence.
As if you are the one that caused the problem. They now want you to give a solution to provide a solution to a problem you didn't create.
You had no idea of.
Well, first of all, I would say it's by God's grace. I'm not trying to be religious because I think the section before mine is like a setup. Because you see, that emotional intelligence is one strong factor of the kind of sector I work in. Like you just said, you get into an environment, everyone's face is strong.
That's the word.
So you have to first read the room.
To make it worse, the performer before you was boring.
Boring.
Gosh.
Then they now, let me use the...
And they have never met you.
They've never met me. Let me use one of the examples the last speaker said. They now said, because the last one was boring, you now assume all
the rest of you are boring.
That's what they did do. So you now have to...
Have you ever had that kind of experience?
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah? Give us one instance.
In my over 15 years of the job, it happens.
Wow.
So you now have to regulate.
Give us an example, just one example of such a
Okay, I'll try and pick one. I'll paraphrase.
Go ahead.
I don't like shading people. Okay, so it was actually a corporate conference, and the ethics of my job, just like you called me a noisemaker the other time, so it's a clapback, but like I said,
Yeah,
no
typical.
problem.
Yeah,
I'm a noisemaker too, so
we just that our noise is different.
Our noise, yes.
NUPENG noise, oil noise. So I'm just being spontaneous, natural. So not to digress. So it's a corporate conference, and of course they need someone to come and relax them. So I think about 2 had to come in different, and we had the top executives. Fine. So the guy that went before didn't read the room. There are jokes you do at corporate events. There are jokes you do in the club. So the issue was not that it wasn't funny, but the content did not suit the environment. So in their mind, the next person or persons coming will be in that. So even before going after the panel, because after him there was a panel section, then I had to come. Me, we no cause the wala. The prepping I got backstage was now like, you are going to be castigated, blah, blah, blah. So, getting to say, good afternoon, they just gave cold shoulder. Yeah. But luckily for me, what had happened had given me an idea of Oga. Naturally, I don't do, he actually used some vulgar words. Okay. Some vulgar words. So, fortunately for me, like for my profile, I don't deal with vulgarity. So I just play around the company, did things that they are familiar with. At the end of the day, one of the directors was like, you use one of our products. Me, that I had done research. I had to collect balance and I had to play along. I said, yes. Called, and they were about to launch something. I now mentioned this. So that actually got me another gig, but it wasn't easy as the way I narrated.
Wow.
It wasn't as easy as you narrated.
I had to wake up the dead after Jesus died.
You have to wake up the dead.
Because their mindset was just like, let's get similar to that vulgar. So you have to first clear their minds from the vulgarity, now bring your own products to them, your content to them.
You did the job of a surgeon.
But I mean, how often does that happen in the industry? Do you players in the industry, do you talk about things like that, and you know how to help each other or support each other in that regard? For instance, if the person that came before you, I mean, whether you like it or not, is a colleague, you will have done something like to help him. He will not be beside you, but you can even crack jokes about him not being able to, do something. You crack a joke so that they'll when they remember him too, they'll have something to laugh about.
Okay,
something
so
like that.
Well, emotional intelligence. The way people would take things.
You are first annoyed, like what did this guy?
Because the guy don't go spoil ground for you first, so you have to bear his cross.
Yes.
So you bear his cross first. You now carry your own cross that you are bringing. So it's giving you light bulb moments from your script that you planned. You have to also seal the moment, because the performance of the previous artists can affect yours. You might do well, but that perception, all comedians, all MCs, all presenters, all like that, they just group every one of us.
Okay. Now, you said you spent 15 years, and that's quite some time. How did it start for you?
Okay, so I'm privileged to come from a family that loves entertainment. My dad was not a DJ, but he's still alive. I don't see during this time. But in those days, if there's a new record, turntable, vinyl, when there's a party, my dad runs that stuff. My mom happens to be around the event space as an alaga.
Oh, wow.
And a caterer. Me, as I was told, they knew I was going to be around media. I studied mass comm at the end of the day.
All right, okay.
I thought I was going to be around media. I was as early as 5 years old, I'd called NTA. When, of course, you remember TV Guide. I didn't know what I was doing, but I just loved to. Then it was strictly NTA, not now that they are private and terrestrial. So I'd been around media. So anything communication, I love. But growing up, and I had to focus what aspect of communication. I love journalism, entertainment. Unconsciously, or should I say subconsciously, my mom was an alaga. So whatever she does at events, I just get home and mimic. I wasn't planning to be an MC. I wasn't planning to be a comedian. It was my media, blah, 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 till fast forward. So I didn't know indirectly I was preparing for something ahead.
Rehearsing for the future.
I was rehearsing for. I had always loved. I have a musical aspect to myself.
Right.
Okay, a lot of people do not know. I'm a multi-instrumentalist. So I knew I was going to be that. I knew I was going to be around the entertainment space, either as a journalist, entertainment journalist, or a producer. Till now, I still do my music, doing church. So fast forward to 2008, just mimicking my mom at home, blah, blah, blah. One thing happened, there was a praise night in church. That boy, they always make it just, the opportunity came, I did it. Then someone just walked up to me and was like, do you know you can actually make this into a profession? Of course, I knew it existed then. I used to watch Night of 1,000 Laughs, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay. But then I was doing banking. You see, my life, I was doing banking. I just started banking after school. Because I did a bit in the media, then the opportunity came, I said, let me just try. So one thing led to the other. There was another opportunity in one of our training in the bank. I didn't know there was these breaks, maybe tea break, I would just make my friends just laugh around me. Then they just came and said, we need an MC. It was just like a coup. That guy, he can do it. I no be. Yeah, but all those really talk for break. So one thing led to the other, and I picked it up.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
So how has it been for you? Because I know that, well, what's actually on my mind, I ask you, is about the pressure that your job, I assume, naturally brings. You have to outperform your previous performance.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You have to outperform the person that came before you.
Exactly.
While you also have the pressure of your own personal future ahead of you. How do you deal with all of that pressure?
Thank you for asking. We barely get this question, so thank you for caring about how we feel. Because a lot of times people just, when I comedian, I can't do, they forget we are humans.
Wizkid can sing the same song for 10 years.
There is even another issue on his own.
Oh, really?
If Wizkid can sing
Oju
Elegba, till Oju Elegba will continue to exist. A Two-Face can sing African Queen for the next 50 years. Baba Ikedairo sang Modiemu. The song came again, sang Dimo. He's still holding on to it.
You have to change material.
You have to change. So we have to change material, especially in this social media age. Because whatever you say now can easily go viral. Unlike before when you can drop a content in Lagos, they've not edited in Abuja. You can still use the same content 6 months. So you sold it to them here, sold it to them here, sold it to them here. Like I'm on channels now, someone in UK is watching. So I could get to UK and do something. Person will be like, I don't hear that before, but give us something new. And you know what I give now, nobody say bad. The product is still not bad. So there's always that pressure to create as creatives. There's always that pressure to amongst ourselves, we are competitors, but healthy competitors. Yeah. You also want to be relevant in the game. You don't want to be seen as someone repeating, not evolving. So there's that pressure on delivering on the spot, getting ready for the next gig.
Right, you said something about healthy competition. How healthy really is the competition? Yes, you don't want to punch each other behind your backs. Yeah. You don't want to do any of that, but you're competing for jobs, competing for
in the same market.
In the same market. How healthy is that?
Well, just like every sector, there will always be the Judases. It's normal. It's. I don't want to call it it's a way of life that we now have to figure. Not like you can't. Unfortunately, you can't get a permanent solution to it, but you can find your ways around it. But, okay, so true life example, I and my friend, do a positive story. We were contracted for the same job from the same vendor, but this vendor did not know we were actually living in the same street. So these issues can even come from the vendor. So we were just, luckily for both of us, we were just discussing, where did they go for Saturday? They go VI. Me say, they go VI. Which one? That means, now the one or be or two. No, now one or, wait, now you be MC or so. Now you the call too. Now, if we had maybe some little issues before that time.
Or unhealthy competition.
The guy could don't follow back. You know but that didn't happen. Fortunately, he got the job, I didn't get it. But I wasn't mad at him because I knew what happened. The vendor was not aware that we know each other. But now on the question of unhealthy competition, everybody will laugh.
Yeah.
We laugh. Hey, my guy, good guy. We also have females in the industry. That babe, she good. But behind the scenes, some are privileged to have access to some tables, and they kind of rat you out.
Okay, well, that ratting part, you talk about it another time, but let me ask you this. Since that we're talking about healthy or not so healthy competition,
okay.
I've heard Larry J sat in that same chair and said that sometimes you people box each other in the backstage for plagiarizing each other's materials.
True.
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 Have you boxed somebody?
Not
somebody boxed you before?
Well, nobody has boxed me before because I don't do people's content. I can say it anyway.
So
never done someone's content.
So how do you think the industry can regulate that? Do you think it is possible?
Well, for now, we don't have one umbrella. So regulating would be, we have silos. Silos in the case that we have communities, maybe this one trained this, then you have series, oh, this is my mentor, this person trained all of us. We're in one WhatsApp group. Which is not bad. It helps to build community. But currently, I think on 2 different occasions, our elders in the game have tried to create one body. We've even gotten to the extent of registering jokes on this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, some of our jokes are registered with the Nigerian Copyright Commission, just to avoid this boxing. So
how about the remix?
Now, the thing with remixes are this. Remixes are not bad if you acknowledge the
original owner.
But when you now do a remix and come and say,
it's my own.
Just like music, they will file you, send you a lawsuit.
Okay. So, last question. Yeah. What next from Stylo?
What next from Stylo? Okay, so, it's not an advert. So I have one of my...
advert too.
It's not an advert. Okay, so I had a platform, Chill and Connect. So I'm just like, we're Chill and Connect. Chill and Connect, those that know. I stopped it for a while, just to re-strategize. So it'll be coming out very soon. I tend to also venture more into, I used to be around sitcoms. I tend to come on sitcoms and movie. You might not see me in music, but some movies.
Well, the least we can say is well done.
Keep on doing what you're doing.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Sheson Aremu, a.k.a. Stylo comedian. We appreciate your time.
Thank you
and your thoughts this morning.
Exactly.
It's another champion of the industry. One of these days, we'll be hearing them say that they want to regulate the industry. And that's the show this lovely Saturday morning. Thank you for the privilege of being a part of your morning. I'm Ayo Makinde. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
I'm Joke Rogers. To enjoy.